Here. Okay, I'm back. Why did that do that? Okay, I'm back. And I'm going to just switch right on over to this guy. Hopefully you over to this guy. Hopefully you over to I don't know where I'm getting that feedback from. Okay. I don't know where I'm getting that feedback from. Give me just 1 second. Give me just 1 second. This is bad. All right, I'll just turn that off. So hopefully no more feedback. Okay. Now let me open back up the Duo here. And let me share the Duo's. Turn on chat so I can see what's maybe going on. So this is my Surface Duo 1, which for a long time I was using it a lot along with my Duo 2. I have found that I'm just not using this guy as much anymore. But what I have done is I use it a lot for testing. One of the things I don't like about Android 12 is my 12L here on the Surface Duo is that the quick swipe 2 finger down sometimes only brings down one on the settings. Yeah, so we got that dumb keyboard. So you can see the number of launchers that I have installed here. And I try to run them all. What I'm going to do first here is I'll just give you a good look at the one that I like the most, which is this one here, Computer Launcher 2. Now, I've set it as the default. Sometimes in orientation, when it first comes up, it does that. And I'm noticing that sometimes it doesn't have the desktop icons. So there's lots of little quirks, if you will, about every launcher that I've tried has some little quirks. If this goes over onto a single screen, it never has a problem with bringing up its desktop icons. But what you normally have is the desktop that looks just like your Windows 11. And I'll fix that in just a second. Down here at the bottom, you can see that we have a taskbar, and you can put apps into your taskbar. Unfortunately, it's limited to the width of one screen. Now, this is spanned across 2 screens, and you can see over on the right hand side, you've got your notification area. and you got the quick access, and you can add in things, other icons in here. Some of them I have turned off, but it's giving you a good with your clock down here. Clock calendar gives you a nice look of Windows 11. And then over here at the start menu, you'll see that you've got pinned. You do have pinned apps, and you have your all apps, just like you have on Windows 11. Now, they do not break things up like Microsoft Launcher does. It is alphabetical, but it's kind of like that basic Android method of putting your apps into the app drawer. So this is the app drawer. I got to it by touching the start menu, but you can also swipe up and it brings up the same thing. So just like a swipe up brings up your app drawer, um, a swipe up here will bring up the start menu, if you will. You'll see that you got a power on, power off button down here in the bottom right. You can set up accounts. And I keep forgetting on certain launchers which ones have which or what. Um, Listen, so I'm going to swipe up and bring up the task list and see if anything else is running. I don't see anything else running. Sometimes when I set it to the default home app, it will also load the app again. So it'll be loaded there twice for some reason. Um, you don't have any of the features of double launch, etc. So I'm going to do the bring down the quick. See, it didn't do it that time. You have to own Android 12L. Unfortunately, I have to drag two fingers way down, and that was a slow response right there. So if you're familiar with the two finger gesture, you can go to your quick settings immediately. I found that on Android 12, on Android 11, on the Duo, I could actually just lay my two fingers up there at the very top and not move my hand and just quick, flick down, and it would immediately open up the quick settings. Here, I've got to drag it down about three quarters of the way for it to open up the quick settings. It's a little bit aggravating. I don't know if animations or something might be able to change that. I haven't really played around, especially on the Duo here. But I'm going to go back to the home apps and see if I can remember which one um, gives the look you guys like. I know you all know Launcher 10, and you know Square Home. Um, one of these launchers. Let me look at this one first. This happens with this one too. The orientation. It first starts out as you see it flipped around. I didn't move my device. It automatically did that itself. Here you can see desktop icons with this one. This one is a Windows 10. Everything looks very similar, but it's a Windows 10 look here versus a Windows 11 with your pinned and all apps. Uh, this one here, I have actually about 3 or 4 of these I've given the developer, I've paid for the apps. See the desktop icons. This one is just a Windows 10 look. This one works very well. I use it on my Samsung a lot, so I'll switch from Microsoft Launcher over to this. I like the desktop. I like the desktop top aspect, and I don't know, mentally, it kind of pulls me into. I use my device for business and looks just like my or close to my notebook. Let's see here. Let's bring this back up. And I did Launcher 2. It might be Computer Launcher Pro that gives. Come on. You going to flip around? Now you can see here on this one, though, you can't see it, but it puts. Now I can move that search bar and I can move that clock uh, calendar app there. But this is where it wants to put things by default, and these are its widgets. So the Google may be a Google widget. I don't remember now. You're limited on widgets that you can apply. But of course, in the center of the screen on a Duo, much of this is missing. But again, it's got desktop icons. You got your normal desktop stuff, and it's all pretty cool because like when you go to your PC, um, can't do it on this one. There we go. You see, you get a nice look at your PC just like you would on Windows 10 and Windows 11. Um, they really these launchers here, I think, have done a very good job, and there's a bunch of them. Uh, thing is some of them look like they start getting developed and then they stop, and somebody else is picking up one. I think they all this one I is an unpaid version, as you can see some ads down at the bottom. Um, I'm not going to pay for everything, especially if they don't meet needs on any device. But there is one you can also replace. See what I did with Launcher 10. I know you guys all know Launcher 10. Hadn't really set it up, as you can see. I I had Windows Phone. I had Windows 10 Mobile. I had Windows Mobile before Windows Phone, and I used to really like this UI, but I'm not as keen on it today as I was years ago. Let's say Smart Launcher. Looks like this launcher's got an update. I haven't stayed on top of some of these launchers as much as say others, but I do check updates. I do try to read the descriptions of everything to see if they mention 12L. Some of these, like Nova Launcher, did make note of fixing some things for Android 12L, but they don't really. I don't know why that's going so slow. They don't really bring any 12L features, or I should say, any foldable features. And really no tablet features because even if they were tablet, they would it would look better on a Duo. Well, if you want to finish loading here, I can come back to it. I have Taskbar installed because Taskbar was developed with the Android desktop in mind. So the guy who developed it was of the recommended task launcher for the desktop. I do not like the launcher. I do not like it as a launcher, just as a standard launcher. So it was here only to work in desktop mode, and that never really worked out right. Um, Nova Niagara, did Computer Launcher 2, Computer Launcher Pro. Do computer launcher Win 11 launcher? Come on, flip around. Now, these launchers have themes. And this one's not showing me many themes. I think it's just showing me. Let me switch back here and go back to this launcher and go to its themes. Interesting. I'm not seeing all the themes. Here we go. Maybe this is apps. Nope, it's not the themes. They have other themes. There's themes for iOS and um, oh gosh, it's just a long arm of themes, and unfortunately, something has changed, or I'm not remembering how to get to all themes on these. Now, this launcher is supposed to be Android 12L, and I'm sure it is. But you on a Duo, things sit in the middle, and they get busted up by the gap. I really didn't. I started working with this launcher, and I didn't like it. Maybe I was able to. Maybe I would be able to ultimately configure it a way that I would like it, but it didn't look right to me. So I will go ahead and open up Nova Launcher since it claims to fix some things on Windows 12L. If you guys are familiar with, and I know this is a plain looking launcher here because I haven't really set anything up. I'd love some comments on what you see here in my list, and I'm just not understanding why I'm missing. I must have taken the launcher off, or I'm not remembering what it looked like. Honestly, this launcher, Smart Launcher, I don't think I only installed it, and I don't think I've ever used it. I don't recognize what I'm seeing here. So if you see these launchers and you've got some comments for me, how about sharing them with me? Um, hmm, Square Home. No, not now. It kind of looks like maybe I need to come back. Now look at there. You don't see this, but this is a very common thing that happens to me with using these launchers, and that's a swipe up gesture reboots Android. So the gesture to bring up the task list with some of these launchers, it reboots Android. Now that's a weakness in Android. A weakness I'm not fond of at all. I'm not happy there. It just did it again. I wanted to get rid of this launcher, and I got to bring up the task list another way. I have to go into the settings app. So my device is rebooting again. I can crash Android at the snap of a finger with that particular launcher. And actually, it was doing it. It did it on quite a few launchers. Man, all gestures are I shouldn't have loaded this launcher. I might be in a world of hurt. I better slow down and look on the desktop and see if they've got a settings. Oh goodness, I can't get to the set. I can't navigate around. What a application. So they do have a button for applications. So that's good. I should be able to get the settings from here. I'll reconnect to my Duo so you can see it. And yes, open it. I saw somebody said, Cam, I have to get myself a Surface Duo. It's all I can say is I like it. Um, I have a Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra that's always with me. Its use is for when I'm driving. I can mount it and I like to stream my drive. So it's good for that. And then on Friday nights, I I do high school football, and see that time I loaded it, it gave me the desktop, so that's good. So now I got my desktop. So I use it to record video. I can do 8K video with it. Other than that, I don't really use the S21 Ultra. Sometimes I do play around with the launchers on it, and I'll sometimes use Messenger or Facebook or some of the social apps. I may use it on the S21 just because it's around and I want to keep using it. But now, you see what it did there? It's on two screens. Now, I think the reason is one of them is the app and one of them is the default screen. So it does that sometimes. It sets it as a default screen and then it opens it up as an app. Um, or sets it as a default home. And you can add screens. I just scrolled over. You can add more screens to it just because it's Android. This one is my favorite. I just wish I could. So for lock screens, they've got different Mac and modern and different Android. And again, it's kind of limited. I'm not sure what's going on there. I have to look into that. What are you guys doing? I know Launcher 10 is a popular launcher. People want that. I was looking for the launcher that was a computer launcher that has a Windows 10 phone look, and it had transparent icons and all that other kind of good stuff. Um, but apparently, I've don't remember what it was. Why are you not searching for default home? I did something wrong. Taskbar, just in case you're interested. It's a clean looking. It's got the old bring up your apps, and you've got all your apps, and you can move the taskbar from left screen to, or you can move it around on your screen. That's probably an align right or an align left. But this was going to work well for desktop mode. And he wrote another application, which is a resolution switcher for the display from the Duo up to an, or not a Duo, from an Android device. I'm sure the guy never owned a Duo, but from an Android device up to the whatever your external display is, and it helped set the resolution to what your screen was displaying. I've gone over all of these, just a brief over. So I want to ask you people, what do you think about that? There's two of you on board. What do you think about your desktop looking like that? Or your phone looking like a Windows 11 device and operating like a Windows 11 device? You got your users, your own profile, just like you do on Windows. You got your documents and videos and pictures and all that can be accessed from here, downloads, music. And going to PC does the same thing, but gives you the drive. I double click the disk, and it can take you to your file system, the documents, and I see a computer launcher looks great. I like it. It needs a few things like understanding the gap. Um, it would be great if, so what I would like to see is Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft owns this UI. Uh, they shouldn't have to see computer launcher. This is computer launcher 2 here. If you go looking for it, and there might be a couple of computer launcher 2s. What I think is happening is that there's some base package, and I've thought about looking into this. I code. I'm not an excellent coder, and I've never written an Android app. All my apps have been PC based, um, but we're an embedded controller. But I could, maybe I could play around with. I think there's some base package you can get that, 'cause all the computer launchers look similar, and then they come from different people, uh, which is telling me that there is some kind of base package they start with, and then they modify it and do the things that they want to do. So I would like to be able to add. Not that I really want them there, But on Windows, I utilize the taskbar heavily. I hide the taskbar, but I put all my go-to stuff on my taskbar. So everything that I need to go to is on my taskbar. And I would like to do that here. So here you can see there's Edge, the phone app, the message app, Outlook, Gcam, uh, photo gallery, which is not the photo gallery that I use. I use Microsoft's. So I guess I hadn't adjusted that. You can see OneNote, the Kindle app, Photoshop, Express. I use Photoshop, and so sometimes I'll use Photoshop Express. So I like to have my go-to stuff, and I really prefer to have a clean um, desktop. I do not like that clock widget, and I changed it on my other Duo, or I changed it in my. I got to find those faces again. Oh boy, don't remember where the faces are. But I use an analog sweeping clock on my Duo too. This one's got a little dot ticking around on the right, um, or on the outside, I should say. And I will say this one is my favorite of all the launchers that are out there, including Microsoft Launcher. This one would be my favorite. Now, there are things Microsoft Launcher does that this one doesn't do, and I'm talking about regular Microsoft Launcher, not the one on the Duo. There is one thing that I use on the Duo that this does not do, and that's to launch two apps. Because I have mine launch Gcam on the right hand screen, and on the left hand screen, I launched the Photos app so that it works kind of like the camera app, the default camera app does. So I do use that to launch paired apps. You know, not I don't have a lot of paired apps, but I do have several app pairs that I use. And you can't do that in this launcher. Microsoft could do it if they would adopt this interface. And why wouldn't they? They've, I won't say try, they have made some things look Windows 11 ish. We get into and I know you guys are familiar with it, but when we get into the settings here, that's kind of like what we see in Windows 11. So they're kind of adapting some things. Is it stable? This one is the most stable, I believe. Um, the computer launcher that I first brought up, it's the first one that I actually gave the developer money for. And it seems to be fairly stable. Yes, these seem to be stable. There are computer launchers that are not stable. As you saw, I rebooted my device a couple times. I think about two or three of these launchers will do that. Um, your gestures change. So if you're worried about that swipe down gesture bringing up search, it's not. It's going to bring down this. It's going to bring down your notifications like what you're accustomed to on other Android devices. Now, since I run Microsoft Launcher and that's the default thing for Microsoft Launcher to bring up search when you swipe down, I'm accustomed to it, and I know on a Surface Duo when not to do that. But if that's a concern, and you can also, I gotta find its settings. You press and hold, and it almost works. Even this, when it comes up full screen. But of course, the launcher menu is going to get cut off. But the right hand stuff there, the lock screen, wallpaper, all that is actually right on the edge. So they're doing a near 50% break. Um, Here in its settings, I think it's under, where's it? There we go. You can define your gestures. How about that? This nearly free app, I think if you liked the app and you decided to donate to the developer, it's less than $5. It's maybe I think this I think that the computer launcher version, the one that really works well, and the one that I used a lot before this one came out, or played around with a lot. I don't really use it. Um, I paid 198, $1.98 US for it. But here you can define what each gesture does. So I just selected the swipe down gesture. And what do I want it to do? I can have it do any of these things. And we can do that on a Microsoft launcher on a Samsung device, but or a HTC or just a standard Android device. But on the Duo, we cannot set what our gestures do. We're kind of stuck with them. Not that I don't like them, but I would like to maybe change some gestures. The help gesture, I wouldn't mind being a tap and then a swipe down. So if you want to bring up that the search gesture, you could tap the screen and then swipe down and bring it up to be able to do things like that. Or just turn it off if you don't want it. You can do that in regular Microsoft Launcher. It's even got some gestures of pinch. So there's a pinch in and a pinch out. Um, I would if someone was looking for another launcher that is not, they just don't want the Microsoft launcher, um, and asked me which one would you recommend, I would say this one. But then it would depend on the UI look you're looking for. But these computer launchers, I just got to find out how to do it. You can add a Windows. I don't know if it's a Windows Phone or a Windows 10 mobile. The one the last one that I worked with was more like the Windows 10 mobile Metro UI, uh, than it was Windows Phone. And honestly, I like the Windows 10 mobile better than I did Windows Phone. And I really liked Windows Phone. It was always showing off how easy it was to do things. I just don't like that Metro UI anymore. I'm it's just not my thing. I realize some people are hung up on it, like I'm hung up on now being with some kind of desktop UI. And that's the good thing is we have options to give us what we're hung up on. Stable options are somewhat limited. I did spend about a day on Nova Launcher, and Nova Launcher was seemed to be pretty stable too. Maybe I and some of you are using Windows 10. I mean the Launcher 10 mobile launcher, so it's quirks if it has any. I haven't played around with it lately. Early on, I encountered some issues, but the little bit of playing that I've done with it, I really didn't see any issues. Uh, it just becomes a feature thing of like being able to dual launch apps. Uh, and yeah, you're right. We all love Windows Phone. Yes, we did. We had a great thing. Uh, I can tell you during Windows Phone era. So for me, and I did a video on my history of devices, and I was Windows 10 mobile, and I had to carry a BlackBerry for work, and I had Android because I was wanting to, I got on Android when Android came out, and I just kind of wanted to stay up on it. And then at iPhone 4, Mitsubishi switched from Blackberries to iPhones, and I tried to get them to go Windows Phone. Um, and at that time, I had Windows Phone, and well, actually, first I was still on Windows Mobile because I didn't get on Windows Phone 7. I played with it, and my daughter almost bought a 900, and I went from Windows 10 Mobile. I had Windows 10 Mobile, not Windows 10 Mobile, excuse me. I had Windows Mobile running an app that simulated BlackBerry, and I was sticking with the Android stuff, and then had a switch to iPhone. Wasn't my choice. I had to carry an iPhone, and I was Windows Mobile and iPhone and Android, and then Windows uh, Phone, iPhone, and Android. I even did a video when Windows 10 Mobile, I think is a great video, um, to where I laid Windows Phone with Windows 10 Mobile on it. And yeah, that one was my 950, I believe, because I put Windows 10 Mobile on my even my 1020, and I put it on all my Windows Phone devices, and so I had the Windows 10 Mobile, I had an iPhone, and I had my Samsung with, and I asked them all. I turned on the assistants, and I asked them all 10 things, or I said 10 things about Monty Python to see who could hit the best. iPhone failed miserably. There's a video up. It's great. It's a 10-minute video. I think it's great. It shows how well Microsoft and Cortana, or Windows Phone and Cortana, was working together. To me, that's my biggest letdown, is losing Cortana, more so than the UI. 'Cause I got a little I was always changing my icons around, and, like everybody else, trying to find the best way to lay icons out. And I started moving icons where they were spread around the outer edges like a square, so that I could see more of my desktop. And once I started doing that, it started becoming more and more like things on the screen were obstructing an experience. I use Bing wallpapers, and they would change daily, and I like to see them. So that's why I like this style of desktop. But I advocated to everybody. I even have another video where I took a Lumia 640. Now I paid $19 brand new for that Lumia 640. still into shrink wrap at Best Buy. And I made that device look like an iPhone. I laid out the screen with Windows 10 Mobile to where everything was laid out like my iPhone that I had. And I believe in that video, I actually show the iPhone. It's an iPhone 5, an iPhone 5S. And that 640, that Lumia 640 took better pictures, or at least equal. It felt better. It operated better. It had Cortana, who was way better than Siri. Siri, every time you ask Siri something, well, not every time, but it seemed like probably 25% of the time, maybe 33% of the time, Siri would get it. But the rest of the time, Siri would say, I can search the web for it. That would be the response. I can search the web for it. Whereas Cortana went ahead and searched the web for it. And Google Assistant went ahead and searched the web for it. So in that video that I did of the three assistants, Cortana got 10 for 10. Phenomenal. I think Siri was 3 of 10. I forget. I have to go back and look at the video. No better than 4 of 10. And Google Assistant was 9 of 10. And the only reason it failed was it didn't understand, and I even gave it opportunities, my enunciation of a word. And if you've ever seen The Holy Grail, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, there's a scene there where they're at the cave and the rabbit's there, and Sir Robin, who's played by Eric Idle, um, when he sees it's a rabbit, he's like he says, "I soiled my armor." Soiled. And Cortana got it immediately and brought up that scene. And Google kept saying, I sold SOLD my armor. So it couldn't, its speech recognition was not on par with Microsoft's at that time. Siri, like I say, just failed. So I've deviated from the launcher stuff. But because we all are, I think, I shouldn't say all, but many of us are people that came from the Microsoft lineage of devices. We're all have some kind of hook on Windows Phone and Windows 10 Mobile. To me, I miss Cortana and I miss Continuum. Those are my two biggest misses. And I wish they would, what they've done with desktop is not Continuum on Android. On Android 12L, what they've done through using remote desktop is not, that's not Continuum. Anybody that uses the word continuum and talking about that never used continuum. Okay. Unless somebody's got something else they want to say, I would like some feedback. I mean, I don't mind showing more. I just, Cortana, in your opinion, was better too. Google is constantly hanging and Siri seems nasty. See, I just never had good experience with Siri. Never. Now, I only used, I carried an iPhone daily and I had to use it daily because it was my business device. Now that I have my own business, I can choose which devices, and I'd never buy an iPhone, never. But I carried an iPhone for 6 years daily. I used it daily. And thus, because I had it and I had to use it, I learned to use it. I learned all there was about it, everything you could do with it. And I tried to use Siri. Uh, It's funny because there with Cortana, I was riding around in my vehicle, receiving text messages, listening to them, and then responding to them before any other assistant could do that. So I could send text messages and never touch the device. Do it all by voice over Bluetooth. Man, was Microsoft ahead. And I understand because the footprint of Cortana was very, very small because Windows 10 mobile, Windows Phone just didn't get enough acceptance, and thus just wasn't worth their time to continue developing and to give us Cortana. And because it wasn't, they moved Cortana technology off into the Office 365 world, where I don't really use it. Um, Cortana was beneficial to me to have Cortana as my assistant, not as an assistant within an app. So we lost out. I think the world lost out on a great assistant technology. I'm not sure where Siri is at today in comparison to Google. Google's fairly, for me, and I don't know if it's where you're language based, if it's where you're located. Because looking at your name, I would make an assumption you're not in the United States, but you could be. But I would make an assumption that's an European name, but I don't know. Takara Pekin. Or maybe even um, Lower Asia, India, somewhere in that world, Pakistan, Turkey, something like that. I don't know. Maybe tell me if you don't mind. So your issue could be, the language settings and what they've done in your area. Russia. Okay. I'm sorry. Would it be Asian? Would it be more the southern Russia or southeastern? I don't know. Russia's big. It's a big place. So anyway, back on the Cortana thing. Yeah, I would. It'd be great if Microsoft could bring it back, but I think we're lost there. I think we are saved on a mobile device though. St. Petersburg. Okay, I would love to visit Russia. Right now is not a time to visit, but there's a lot of things I'd like to see in the world, and Russia's one. I've only been to Japan, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. That's in Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States. Um, I haven't been to Europe, anywhere in Europe. St. Petersburg would be I think, an interesting place to visit. A lot of history. I'm a history guy. I like history. So I guess it's getting cold there. See where I'm at, the weather's not too bad. We just had a hurricane just go through. Being three other people, does anybody else have a comment about um, a launcher? Looks like I lost my background. It's not going to let my background work now. There we go. Yeah, I changed to a different background. No, that's not mine. There we go. So computer launcher, I'll bring it back up and show you which one it is in the App Store. If you're interested in it, this computer launcher 2. Um, which one is it in this group? Is it this? Nope, that didn't work, did it? Okay, that's fine. We can go to the Play Store and just find it. Great. So that seems to be, I was seeing this problem yesterday, and I don't remember how I got around it in the, whoops, I shouldn't have done that. In the launcher, you're not so cold. There is I watch several Russian YouTubers. Um, and one of them is her name's Ellie, I think it is. I hope I'm getting the right one. And she travels all around places, um, and she's given a good, um, her videos give a good look at the various cultures that exist in Russia, from everywhere from the coldest place on earth, all around. And I think right now, I think she's in Africa. I think she just went to Africa. But I've watched a lot of her videos, and then what's his name? He has a wife and he has a little daughter named Sadi, Sadie or Sadi. I forget how he pronounces it. Uh, he just left Russia. Um, he just like last week left Russia and went to Turkey because of what else going on. His I watch his YouTube too because he again gives a little bit of insight into culture. I like to understand people and understand the way people live and the things that they do. And so it's been real interesting watching some of the Russian YouTubers over the last few years to learn a little bit about Russia, a little bit more about Russia. I know a lot of people, some of my friends found that odd, You're watching Russians? Yeah, I am. They're people just like us. They live just like us. Well, things are different. It's like things are different here. And I like to see what's different and see other parts of the world. But really, I like to see that culture part of it. I was going to show you where it is in the store. I'm sorry. So I got to switch out of this launcher. I think we'll go back to Microsoft so I don't have any issues. That's what I like about Microsoft Launcher is there we go. I was searching for it recently. Okay. So which one is it? Of the ones I've got installed. Oh, I didn't have to do that. I'm sorry. I'm forgetting how to use my own device here and get there this way. Well, I'm having troubles here. Isn't that interesting? So, Computer Launcher 2 in the App Store. There's the launcher, Computer Launcher W10, that has a Windows 10 mobile look. That's right. I uninstalled it the other day. For some reason, Computer Launcher 2 is not showing up in the list here. There's a Computer Launcher 3. Now I probably need to try that because the developer is the developer of one of the launchers I have running. It only has 10,000 views. I tend to like to see somewhere around a million views. Reviews. The launcher has not been taken out of the store, has it? Jiminy Cricket, why can't I get to it? And I'm sorry if I'm using slang you've not or comments you've not heard before. I'm a country boy in the United States. And just so you know, we're not all bad people over here. We got some bad people. Try again. Try again. Wonder if that's a bug. Oh, there's a way to figure out, isn't there? No. Something may have happened with my launcher and it's not in the store, which would be very recent. See, there's a Mac OS style launcher. Y'all have probably seen these kind of things, but without question, I'm gonna have to go get my S21 and try this. But that launcher is not in here. There are other Windows. There are other computer launchers which give you similar experiences. Computer Launcher Pro, this computer launcher W10, that does a Windows 10, I mean Windows Mobile type UI, as I remember. All right, I'm gonna take some time and find out what's going on here. And maybe I'll come back and do another one of these. If there are no questions, I was using Phone Link for that. I use PhoneLink a lot. All my devices are connected via PhoneLink. And finally, Microsoft, although it's been a little while that they've done it, you can have your device associated with more than one PC. Um, I don't know what happened. It was there last week. Well, when's the last time I looked for it in the store? Um, that's a little disappointing because it works rather well. Um, and it's the one I prefer because it's the only one that really has. There's some that claim to be Windows 11 that say they say Windows 11 launcher, but the start button works like Windows 10, not Windows 11. And I don't know if people understand there is a difference there, that pinned and all apps difference. And then, the pinned and recent apps, I like that. Think I find that approach to the navigation of things is better than the way Windows 10 did it, which is better than all the way back to Windows 95. It's gotten better, in my opinion, over the course of Windows. But some of those, and I'll look and see maybe they've changed, but some of those that say Windows 11 end up having a Windows 10 UI. The other thing I do in the Play Store is I just type in 12L and search that to see if there's anything that's come up in case you guys hadn't thought about that. Um, to see if there's anything that's been released that's maybe compatible for foldable and see what it offers. But that's it. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm going to go eat some dinner and I'll come back and do this again. Thanks, and y'all have a good one.